to start the meeting. I hope everyone has signed in the back and has a copy of the agenda if they want one. I will call to order the meeting of Tuesday, May 26th at 3:30, the Select Board meeting, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming on this beautiful day. I appreciate you taking some time out of the sunshine. All right, so we have the meeting minutes from our Tuesday, May 12th meeting. Frank, you were absent from that, but I don't know if you have any questions or read or have any questions about the meeting itself. Questions about
No,
minutes?
pretty straightforward to me.
Can I hear a motion, please?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from our public meeting on Tuesday, May 12th, as written.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sign, please. I'm going to go off script a little early here. This is for before A. I have been the chair for a couple of years now, and I find that my schedule is getting a little booked. And Bob, you had expressed interest in chairing the select board a few months ago, and I'm wondering if you would consider taking on that task mid-year.
Sure, why not?
I'd like to make a motion to, after this meeting, if that's okay, since I went over the folder.
Yeah.
After this meeting, have Bob Thompson take the position of chair of the select board.
Julie is the deciding vote. Are you
I'll second
against
it,
that?
yes,
Or?
absolutely.
No,
Sorry.
I'm not against it.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right. Next to the agenda. I would have thrown this at you, but I didn't think that was fair.
No, it's like, what are you saying?
All right, so our first under 4A is High Pastures HOA and Eastfield Road. And we have some folks that are on the Zoom call. So we have George Noon, Angelo Simeone, and I believe there is a Kennedy on the board, on the call as well. And then we have some folks in the audience. So there is, I guess, who wants to start? We have a lot of documentation from going back to like 11 years ago. So I want to know a little bit of background. Is Jay here? No. Kevin Bennett?
I'm here.
Do you want to give me a high-level view of your opinion of what's going on here and what's happened in the past, from your knowledge?
Well, in the past, I guess those last two buildings that went in, there was, I guess we all looked at it at one point. John Allen, Jay, I think Pat Kelly was involved too at one point. But we determined that, I guess we were still calling it a driveway. And I guess some improvements had to be done to it, and there was the turnaround or whatever was put in, so the fire truck could turn around and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But still, the portion below that never met town specs, put it that way, but it was satisfactory at the time. And the one big thing that happened too, I guess there was a bond like 30 years ago, 40 years ago for that drop, and that should have never happened. That should have been implemented, and that road should have been built. So anyway, now that there's a couple more lots up there that want to be built, and we're looking at the road. It's definitely not the town spec, and there's water problems. That I was just out there, and I just noticed another big washout, and actually the culvert is supposed to be on the other side of the road. So there's some engineering issues that should be, dealt with. So I talked to the owner, I believe, the last phone call I had, I said, meet with Burr so you can go over what's needed to be done. So, and they're willing to put some money into the road too. But what I believe is that never happened. They never actually met with you so you could go over with what was needed.
Okay, and I'm going to read from a letter that was from the to the select board from 2015, that there were 3 things that were supposed to have been done: to extend the existing water main line up Eastfield Road to the turnaround, install 1 fire hydrant at the top of Eastfield Road at the turnaround, and complete the grading and create a turnaround acceptable to the fire department. So has any of that been done to your knowledge?
That's been done.
All 3 of those. So there is a turnaround acceptable to the fire department.
At this point, there is.
Okay.
Now, when we start that other driveway, that might be an issue. To come off of that, up the hill again.
Okay. And Burr, what else do you have to add to that?
Yeah, I guess I'll just go back a step 2, only not so far back, but how this came to be was last fall. Someone went for a septic system design off the end of the road, and what I saw was that the road is still not completed per the subdivision plan, right? It was approved in 1985. You make everybody build the roads to road standards. You don't make them build half the road to the road standards and not the rest of it. I think one of the guys online right now from Dana Place is probably curious for the same reason, because this could have an impact on their project as well, how it resolves. But I guess the looking through all that correspondence, there was subsequent correspondence after that, and it's pretty clear that when Jay was reviewing it, he was reviewing it from the perspective of fire safety, from emergency vehicles and those sort of things. And I think it was focused on the lots that were there, and some of the letters even say additional work would be done or widening would be done when additional units were built. So I'm of the viewpoint, just you guys do what you want there. I'm of the viewpoint is that the road needs to get finished as it was approved in 1985. That's what was agreed to. We definitely made a mistake in 2015 by letting them do that. I think we were trying to help somebody out for permits at the time, but for whatever reason, people are now taking it as though that's the rest, that applies to the rest of the lots as well. But I guess my main thing is the road, I think, needs to get finished from where the pavement ends to the end. There are drainage issues. The drainage is presently, we put one of the culverts in there, sends the water in the wrong direction from what's shown on the approved plan. The gravel does not look like it meets specifications based on some of the stones that are in there. So my suggestion has been, I think that from back in March, there's been correspondences. Someone just needs to dig some holes and see if that material meets the specification, and then build the road to the standards. I mean, I'm not sure the grades meet the town standards, meet the standards that were applied then. I haven't suggested that we bring it up to current standards. I'm just saying build it for what was approved in the 1985 plan, and then at least passes the straight face test.
And are there 2 lots that are remaining to be built on?
Yeah.
And how many lots are built on already? Do you know that, or Kevin or Burr?
Eric?
There's 3. Eric doesn't have anything to do with the HOA. There's 3 at top, from the dirt road on up. 3 lots are already built on, with 2 duplexes and 1 single. Kurt Hagerbosch, by the way, part of the board. So we speak ahead of our board member. Our president's here, another board member, and our attorney.
Thank you.
Sorry, Barbara.
No worries. I appreciated that answer. So, if I'm really wrapping it up, the problem is there's a disconnect on whether or not these 2 lots should be able to be built on before the road and the drainage are taken care of. That's pretty much the gist of it.
Right, and I've suggested that if someone posts a bond, so we're sure that the work gets done.
Right.
Then I don't see the issue issuing a building permit for them, as long as we're sure the work's going to get done. But I think if we allow those next 2 lots to get built on, then the town has 0 leverage to ever have that road finished per the 1985 plan, for the 1985 plan. We're just asking for them to do what was originally, promised or agreed on.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So,
I'm gonna
hold on, hold on,
I
no.
used the wrong number, I apologize, I used the wrong number, I'm gonna try to get it right. There is one additional house that's not part of the HOA, it's at the top of the road, on the right-hand side. I just make sure it's included, I apologize. That's
Okay.
included. That's not part of the HOA.
And tell me your name again?
Kurt Haberbosch.
Okay, so I have a bunch of people here that are representing that side of the fence. So who is going to be your spokesperson today?
I'll probably chime in.
Thank you. Okay,
My name is Derek Lick. I'm
Okay.
an attorney down in Concord at the Orrego office. I represent the homeowners association.
okay.
I think this meeting has probably been called because I'm the one that pushed it and requested it. Let me give you my sense of things and why we are here tonight. We are hearing from the new property owner that wishes to construct his home. And he has been in touch with the board on multiple occasions saying, hey, you association need to reach out to the town and do some new things to the road that the town is asking for. Our understanding and our view is that there is an agreement between the town and the developer of the lots previously. In 2015, you read from the letter. I don't think we have a dog in the fight as to exactly what needs to be done, but the association is not obligated to do any improvements on the road. We own the land on which, the association owns the land on which the road is constructed. The folks who own the homes have the right to go and do whatever they need to bring the road up to town spec. That's what's necessary. Our view is that we think that the letter governs. Whatever was done in 2015 stands and it applied to all of the lots. That's our understanding. At least what we've been told through the groups of folks that were involved at the time. And what we're concerned about is that the town is now coming and saying, now you need to do something different and something else than what was agreed to in 2015. So we share the concern of the property owner that the goalposts are changing as to what needs to be done. But again, our view is whatever needs to be done, it's not the association. And I'll give you just a sense of this. We have a lawsuit pending, as many of you know, involving the other side of the project and whether or not improvements, an extension of a road and a ski bridge needs to be put in. The court issued an order as of last week confirming that the documents themselves, the declaration, the deeds, the easements, all that, do not require the association to put in improvements. We are not standing in the shoes of the developer as far as the court is concerned. Having said all that, I will say that the association for years has been intending to pave the remaining portion of the road once all the construction was done. They didn't want to do that until all the heavy equipment was gone from the site, whatever work needed to be done was done. They don't want to have their pavement damaged by all of that. But we're not in a position to say whether the road needs to be moved or changed or drainage switched, etc. Whatever occurred, we didn't do it, and to the extent it needs to be done, that's for the town to determine and figure out. So bottom line is, we are here because we're sort of caught in the middle, and we keep getting told we should be doing things like no one's told us to do anything, nor do we plan on doing anything. But we understand the issue, and we hope that it gets worked out. And there is an intention by the board of the association to pave whatever gets done to the town's satisfaction when we get to that point. So that's what I have to offer. I'm not sure if I can give you any other information. I'm happy to answer questions, but I know there are others in the room that were maybe here at the time or had further information. So the reason we asked for the meeting was because it was unclear as to who was talking to whom, what was being asked, and we wanted to get everybody at the same table at the same time so we can hash it out. Thank you.
So I remember talking about this, and I thought we did have an understanding that a bond would be posted because work was the new builder wanted to do work in the winter before the ground got hard, so now we're in the summer. I thought there was a bond that was going to be posted, like you said, because you did intend to finish the road, and so nothing has changed on that since, so I guess we're back to where we were before. Bob, Frank, any questions for anyone
I hear the
here?
same thing, and I read the same thing. And when Burr said a bond would be required, my first question to my mind is, well, how much would this bond? Do we have any sense of what the bond would cost?
Yeah.
You know, how much work needs to be done? I'm just curious and kind of relate that to the cost of it.
Somebody had, Eric Russo, the builder, had gotten an estimate of like $25,000 to do some gravel and some paving, but I'm not sure that's all the work that's required, because if the road grade's not right, and the gravel that's there, it's just adding to the existing gravel. You wouldn't want to pave over material, the rocks, and they're going to heave up through the pavement or any of those things. So my suggestion, I think I've written it probably 5 times now, but is got to dig some holes to test the soil just to see what it looks like. Someone's got to do like basically as-built to see if that road's built in the right location, and then we can determine which way, if the water goes in the wrong direction now, and according to Kevin, it's creating the problem, but it's not per the original plan there, so we're just saying the goalpost is the original goalpost, which is the 1985 approved subdivision plan.
And that kind of seems reasonable to me. I'm not sure how much buy-in I have to the logic of let's finish off the road once all the homes are built. We have homes being built all the time in Jackson with heavy equipment accessing home sites on paved roads that aren't being damaged. So can you help me or understand why this would be different on this road?
Well, we were trying to help the builder and the homeowner on the end of the road.
Eric,
And whoever the owner of the lot is, because he was trying to build, we wanted to start, dig the foundation and rough in the driveway in the
I
winter
remember
time.
that.
But it was, you can't do the road work that time of year. It's too late to get paved and too late to do, ground was frozen in the road. So we were trying to help out, saying, look, if you want to start then last fall or last winter, give us a bond so
Yeah.
we know it's sure it's going to get done.
Right. But now we're at the point where we could reasonably expect the road to be finished. I mean, the letter was 2015, so that's 11 years ago, and I'm hearing culverts are failing, washouts are happening. Sounds like the 1985 town standards currently aren't being met by that road. So I'm of the, and I'm concerned to hear things like, once we allow the building to go on, we lose leverage.
Well, unless you have the bond, and if you hold the bond,
Right.
if they don't do the work, we hire somebody to do the work, we use the bond to pay for it.
Right,
That gives us the leverage.
yeah, which seems to make sense, and if they're gonna bond it, why don't they go ahead and correct?
Right. It
It's
just helps them out
substandard.
time-wise. If it was a new subdivision road, if we took a bond, we would potentially allow people to start home construction or lot construction. If we have a bond, then we're assured to finish the road. The goal is we don't want somebody to end up with a lousy road, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
basically not being able to build on
Right.
the lot, so.
Right,
Well, and the public safety part of it is, making
Correct.
sure that any responders can get to the end of the road as well. So, did you have a comment?
Hi, Dave Kennedy.
No, hold on.
Okay.
Behind, go ahead, David.
I'm the HOA president up at High Pastures. So I think there's a couple of things that are going on here. One, you guys, and not you three sitting at the table, but the town repeatedly let that bond for that road disappear. So I don't understand, and it was for, I think the last time go around was for financial hardship. So I think the town, the onus is on the town for letting that bond draw. The other thing is that the town approved that road when that development first started off in the 90s. The town approved it again in 2015. And you can't tell me that nobody's from the town's not been up there between Burr or Kevin to see that where the culverts were. We did not put them in. So I'm going to be honest with you, the town seems, as Burr said, it sounds like a little bit of backdoor favor went on here so that those lots could be sold. In the letters, it talks about 5 lots. This is the last of the 5 lots, the last 2 of the 5 lots. So, Selectman Thompson here did approve, because his name is on the letter. So it's 5 lots. The town had went up there multiple times to inspect what was going on, and it was approved. And the town dropped the bonds and let the bonds disappear. So that is really on the town. I don't understand how the town can come back 10 years down the line and start demanding that bonds be done, that coring samples be done, when they were up there and approved what was there.
Well, I think the answer to that is because that one of the lots is potentially wanting to be built on. So, did you have some comments?
Well, and to that point, Barbara, those lots were included in that. That lot I want to build on is one of those 5, so it was approved for. To your point, also to follow up on that, the comment about the washout up there, Kevin, I know you were up there today, so that washout, that road was stable, completely stable for the last 2 years, until there's only one reason that was washed out right now. We had a solution in place that ran the water coming down that hillside through the culvert, through the ditch that's already there, and the culvert that already exists, but it's on the right side enough from the original. I don't know if it's one that was approved at the time, back in 2015, and it was stable until 2 months ago. Black Mountain Community Corporation drove their vehicles over the top of that and destroyed that ditching and made those ruts that you saw this morning. And all the rut, and so immediately did exactly what we expected. It ran all the water straight down the road and washed it out. So the road itself has been stable in a condition that was identical to what was approved in 2015 for quite some time until that happened just 2 months ago. Is that something that's going to have to get fixed at some point, and that's a discussion. But that's nothing to do with this particular item. In other words, the solution was there and evident for years. So anyway, that's just what I don't want that to get. I hate to see that offset conversation to go in different directions. What was there stable?
Sir?
Can I clarify something to my understanding? One, I don't believe, I've not seen anything that has said the road was approved beyond where the pavement ends, ever. Even back in 1991, when they asked the bond to go from 1991 to 96. When the latest work was done in 2015, I, as the town engineer, was still the town engineer then, was never called to see the construction or the drainage or anything along those lines. So I didn't do it. I'm not saying the road agent, whoever the road agent didn't potentially do it at the time, but at least as far as I know. And in all of Jay's correspondence, he was pretty clear that saying he's reviewing this as a fire chief from fire access. He's not reviewing it from a road perspective, a road agent. It's not his, that wasn't his job. So, you know, there's other issues with this too, but we got to go on the line.
Yeah.
Do the selectmen normally sign off on the roads, or is it Burr? Like, why do we have a failure of chain of command here as to how things get signed off?
Bert?
Yeah, no, I mean, with most new subdivisions, I'm hired to review the plans, and then I'm hired to inspect the road, and then at the end of the construction, once it's built for plan, I write a letter saying the road has been built, you know, to the road standards. In this case, this occurred before my time, and then the work stopped effectively in like 1990 on the road, and there's been nothing other than whatever action that was done in 2000.
In 2015,
Okay, hold on a minute.
no.
I want to make sure I don't lose control of the meeting here.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have conversations
No, okay.
going
No,
on in the
I apologize.
That's okay. I want to make sure that we don't lose track of things here. What needs to happen? Jay, do you have a comment?
Well, Burr's absolutely right. My experience with it, which goes back quite a ways, the road pretty much sat stable for a long time because of back in the 90s, like Burr says, everything got screwed up with the bond and it didn't get, the turnaround never got put in, the road didn't get extended, all of that. And then around 2015 was when 2 or 3 condos got added, and that's when things picked up. So that's absolutely, the majority of it was way back in the 90s where things really got messed up.
Jason, do you have any thoughts, or are you good?
I'm good for now.
Okay. Thoughts, comments?
Well, the
Hold on, Chris.
roads got messed up, or everything got kind of out of whack, as you say, in the 90s. That makes it Frank's fault, not mine.
I was waiting for that. Say, oh, no.
No, but I mean, and I would need to go back and look at these minutes, and the first thing I noticed, I certainly noticed my signature on the letter to John Fischera, but as I'm looking at these conditions, I'm kind of remembering it as both Burr and Jay are recollecting. This was about public safety at the end of the road and being able to reach construction up there with fire hydrant and a line that goes up there. That's all I remember about the conversation at the time.
Yeah, 2015, is that when we did Caruso built the upper condos? Remember?
I think it was the two on the left.
Two at the end and all
Yeah,
that.
I think so.
So, we really didn't get, we tackled driveway issue then, the driveway permit at that time, because me, you, John Allen, as a selectman, Pat was there, dealing with the driveway entrance for that, and trying to get that driveway entrance into spec. Remember that?
I remember there's something to do with that driveway.
So John, as the selectman, was involved with that and approved that. Everybody, but that was just a driveway permit for the entrance, because we dealt with the fact that that turnaround wasn't necessarily a town spec turnaround, because it was, everything was screwed up between the Davis lot and,
Right.
you know, extending the driveway years ago and all that. So we made that a term I looking for, hammerhead, because I took the fire truck up and was able to pull into Davis, what's the old Davis property, and then back in and drive out. So we did solve that, and Pat was kind of acting as the fire chief too, because I was consumed as part of the contractor there, so I wasn't.
Okay.
I stayed out of it.
Chris, did you have a comment?
Yes, so Chris Meyer, Black Mountain, I'm an attorney for Black Mountain Community Corporation. And first, I just respond to the assertion about Black Mountain using the road. Black Mountain has an easement to use that road and continues to use that road. I'm talking to Derek about the use of that road, and those communications will continue, but Black Mountain has the right to use that road and continue to use that road. The second point that I wanted to make, we're interveners in the lawsuit that Derek was talking about who has the responsibility to finish the infrastructure of the bankrupt developer. That is a live issue. I know the HOA has taken the position in that litigation that it's not their responsibility to finish the infrastructure, but the court in the decision that came out last week said that is whether there was an agreement between John and the association that binds the association to complete that road, that is the issue for trial, including both the East Pasture Road and on the other side of the road. So that is a live issue in litigation. I don't know when we're going to get a trial on that issue, but that's continuing to be looked at by the court. There's a letter agreement that was back when John owned the mountain between John and the HOA. And then even December of last year, I believe the HOA was talking to Burr and said, well, we're not flush with cash, but we acknowledge that we may have an obligation to pave that road. So just to complete the record, that's where we're at in that litigation.
So at that, I mean, I think, like, really simplify this. The road needs to be finished. Whose responsibility is it? That's the big question on here, and I'm sure there's lots of opinions, probably at least 3, based on those folks sitting in the room and on Zoom. That's number one. Whose responsibility is it? And the road needs to be finished. The condition of the road is a subject. I won't say concern, because some people think it is and some people don't think it is. But the road needs to be the current road needs to be looked at to make sure that it's up to standards. And as long as there's a live court case, is there anything that the select board could do while that's being decided?
That might be a question for Jason.
Well, I guess what I would say is anything you do is subject to being the wrong decision, I guess, based on what the court decision says. So you're kind of in a little bit of a catch-22. It would be wonderful if all the parties could agree to pool their money to get it done and leave that as a live issue for court such that whoever wins gets paid back in the end, just so that the problem gets solved. But I suppose I'm not a mediator today for that purpose, but that would be my suggestion for everybody to hear. But yes, as long as there's active litigation, whatever the court says could impact the decision. So if you say, oh, here's a decision, you have to do X. Next thing you know, the court could say, you weren't supposed to do that. Another party was required for that. So it kind of ties your hands to some extent. Certainly, I'd be curious to hear if any of the interested parties have a difference of opinion on that. Not that that will change my mind or should it change the board's mind, but I'd be curious to hear what they would, not that a decision is going to be made today, what their request would be given the pending litigation, what they feel they have the right to even ask for. Yeah, that's one question, I suppose, that I would pose to you, Barb, to ask the applicant if you'd like. And then I would take that answer into my consideration in sort of viewing everything after.
And so you have a response to that?
Yeah, I do. My view sitting here after hearing what I just heard, what I would like is a decision from the board after talking to Jason as to whether or not anybody needs to upgrade the road. As I heard it, in 2015, there's an agreement reached as to the existing road that's currently in place, with the drainage that's currently in place, understanding there may need to be some repair because of some damage, whatever. But the road was put in place, select board signed off on it, they went up, they checked the hammerhead, they did driveway permits, 3 out of the 5 were built. My understanding, everything I've heard is the road was sufficient for all of the lots, not just 3 of the 5. And I have yet to hear a justification as if the road is sufficient for 3, why isn't it sufficient for the 5? And my view is the easy way to solve this problem is to say the town requires no new upgrades to the road or changes to the road given beyond what was done in 2015 by agreement of the town, with the understanding that the association plans to pave the road once it gets, I'm sure there'll be some minor repairs done. I don't know, I haven't been up to see it, but I understand there's some washout now. But that's my request, is that ultimately the board make a decision. There's no requirement beyond what was required in 2015 to allow the new owner of the 2 lots he wants to build to let him get his building permit. Lots number 1 got a building permit, lot number 2 got a building permit, lot number 3 got a building permit with this road in place. I don't see why another building permit shouldn't be issued for the same reason that was granted in 2015. Nothing has changed other than 1 more lot is being built, which was anticipated in 2015. That's my request. And I'm sure you'll have to talk with Jason about that, but that's my view.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to direct it to you, Barb, but obviously this is really for you here, which is a follow-up to that, which is obviously sometimes semantics is annoying to everybody when we're talking about these things. But the question of does the road need to be upgraded, I think I hear in your question that if the answer that it doesn't need to be upgraded is yes, it does not need to be upgraded, that does not necessarily mean that there does not need to be additional work to the road to sort of fix any significant repairs and also ultimately pave it. So I just want to make sure that I understand the request and that the board does when they
I think that's right. And this is where it's a little frustrating for us at the Homeowners Association that we're being told something more needs to be done. First of all, our view is, well, nothing more should be done because it was done as agreed in 2015. But we've got a little bit of a moving target. Well, we're not quite sure what will be needed. There needs to be some test borings. There needs to be some drainage plans. And my view is, I think it would be repair what is there and pave. But that is just me without having seen it. My understanding, just hearing from third parties as to what's going on there.
Do you want to let her speak first, or you?
I'll be quick because I do want to hear what Burr has to say, but it's my understanding that at one point in time, the 1985 standards were met and they no longer are. So I I think that's what I'm hearing.
Say that again?
The town standards from 1985 are currently not being met, is what I heard earlier. And at one point in time, those town standards were met?
No.
And,
Only
okay,
for the section of the road to where the pavement ends.
okay.
It's from the pavement on is where it was
Got it.
effectively a driveway.
And now we're looking at washouts, and we did end up with a fire safety solution for that road at the time, but that was
Turnaround.
never
10 years.
expected to be the hammerhead
That was the
and the water lines. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the standards are being met on that road, correct? I mean, the culvert I'm hearing about, the washout I'm hearing about, I mean, these things happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure the road width is the required width for the, you know what I mean, the required
Okay.
width for the road even.
Mhm.
The grades of the road, I'm not sure where they are because I don't think it was built to any grade, so. It
Yeah.
can impact the driveway off the end of the road too, because if that cul-de-sac comes up or something like that, which would help those last 2 units on the left
Yeah.
to beat the grades, that's gonna change what the grade is for the driveways that are gonna be built off the end of it in the future. But I guess one thing I just want to say, if I can, sorry,
Yeah.
one quick thing is, I think since last fall, since this came up, the driveway thing, I've been really, really consistent, at least from my perspective, that the road needs to get built to what the plans were approved in 1985. And that's the bottom line there. However you want to do it, that's great. But that's what's got to be done. So.
Yes.
My clarification of that is, that may have been true up to 2015, but once the select board agreed to the road as it was in place and approved 3 lots in the current condition as the agreed condition in 2015, that spec no longer is in play. It's what the town agreed to in 2015. You can't have an agreement in 2015, everything is fine, and then 10 years later come back and say, nope, that agreement no longer is in place, we now must do another spec, a different spec, something different than what we agreed to in 2015. I disagree that that is appropriate.
But I think I disagree with that because the intent was to finish the road all the way up, regardless of how many and when the lots were going to be built on. So
There
it
was,
has not been done.
there was no agreement with respect to that. What was done and what was approved by the town is what was installed at the time. The association's paving is on its own. They plan on doing that on their own. There's no requirement in 2015 that that road be changed in any way from what it was, nor that it be paved. Period.
Kevin?
I'd like to make a comment. Right now, the 2 lots up there, it's probably about 5 acre spot.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, like half of it's wooded, half of it's not. The part that's not wooded, it's grass. So when it rains, it all goes into the ground. It comes out, the groundwater and everything else. The minute you start putting a house or 2 houses up there, that's all gonna change. There's gonna be a lot more runoff, especially when you start to pave driveways, roof runoff, lawns, landscaping. That all has to be like engineered or whatever, and all that water is gonna come down to where that road is now. Right now, it's not gonna handle it, I'll tell you right now. The left side of that road is already washed out twice. The last time, Jay put boulders in there, so the boulders don't run off with the water that goes down that culvert. So, like I said, you need to look at that road and make sure that the culvert that goes underneath, the runoff, where the water goes, everything's up to the town, because, like I said, you put 2 houses up there, I guarantee you there's gonna be issues. Because right now, like I said, the trees and the grass and everything's just going into the ground. It's steep though. I mean, everyone should go up there and take a look at it.
Yes.
If I may, I do have a question to help me clarify the HOA through Attorney Lick's opinion, which is the question, or is the issue, and it sounds like it is from their perspective, that the letter agreement from 2015 essentially amends the 1985 approval. Is it as simple as that as far as what my legal analysis would need to be on behalf of the town to be able to get towards a response for the HOA? So I don't know if I'm oversimplifying the question, but that to me is what I'm curious about to hear from the HOA, if that's kind of their view, that it amends the 1985 subdivision approval.
And you're shaking your
Yeah,
head
that
yes.
is true, Jason, that's the way I read it.
Okay.
And I guess I go the next step and say that given that the 3 other lots were approved and permits were granted based on the road that was in existence, that shows that it's sufficient by the town for the lots to be built, which is what was planned in 2015.
Was the road paved prior to the 3 lots being built? No?
Well-
So it was paved after the
Well,
3?
I should be clear, I'm not sure when the
So the,
current
so
paved
the,
portion.
so the road, the units that were there prior to 2015 had paved road. Then it was, the lots were developed further up the road, and that has not been paved. But that's what, honestly, the road was already there because it went up to the old Milford property. So there was a single track road that was going up there. When, and Jay, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the fire hydrant was put in, but the water was already run up there.
No. They, I think when John Fischera was trying to sell the lots, he, I believe, paid for the water line, the water main to go up the road from the where it ended at the pavement.
Okay.
He paid
It sounds like it wasn't there
to
because the letter
extend
in
the water main up so the condos, the land that was being sold, could be sold
Could be.
to have water.
Gotcha.
And the
right.
hydrant had to be put in.
Those were the requirements of the letter in July 2015, that the water go all the way, extending the water line, fire hydrant, and the grading and the turnaround acceptable to the fire department.
One-
So that was 2015.
One of the other things that happened there, where the pavement ends right now, that was the end of the road when the whole place went through bankruptcy and the developer and everything went down the tubes. Between 1990 or whatever year it was, 1980 something, when they went bankrupt, and 90 something, Davis before Milford extended that as a driveway to his house. And then that's when that driveway started becoming a road to access the other lots. That eventually, 2015, 2014, whenever they started selling the rest of those lots. So it went from a dead-end road that went through bankruptcy to a little driveway to feed the Davis property, which became the Milford property. And then the road just kind of, all of a sudden now it's not a driveway, it's a road with no turnaround and stuff like that.
Okay, so what you said before was that the 2015 letter from the select board amends the 1985 approval. So if I'm going to read a paragraph from that letter that says, the existing portion of Eastfield Road that is gravel is on the common area property of the High Pastures Homeowners Association and remains the responsibility of the High Pastures Homeowners Association. That association will continue to maintain this section of Eastfield Road as it has done since it was constructed back in the 80s. The High Pastures Homeowners Association will also continue to maintain the lower paved section of Eastfield Road as well. If at some time in the future the unpaved upper section is to be paved, it would be done at the discretion of the High Pastures Homeowners Association, and all costs associated with such paving would be borne by the association. So it's at your discretion, is that what it's saying? It's at your discretion whether or not this gets paved. But how does that fly with what regulations are in the town as far as safety and access for fire vehicles, et cetera? I mean, not normally they would make a decision on what's acceptable.
Two things. It's accessible by a fire truck. Granted, if we get a flood and it
Right.
washes out, it needs to get repaired. It is accessible by a fire truck. End of discussion on that. The other, to think that you're gonna get that road to town spec is probably not possible. It's just too short of a distance and too steep. I don't know what I can't remember what the percent of grade is now, but whether that can get to 15% and still maintain a turnaround, I highly doubt it. So it is a little bit steep for sure, and I don't think that that's fixable no matter what we say, but it is accessible with a fire truck or an ambulance.
Any questions on?
So you're
that?
saying you don't think that there's any further work to be done there other than just paving it? That
Well,
won't
there's probably
matter if we
repairs, or
do
maybe,
pour?
I haven't seen it lately, but whether there's a culvert full of sand or something, I don't know. It's definitely been a mess because of the way, when it went through bankruptcy and everything just halted and everybody really ignored it and it never got built the way it was supposed to get built. And now you got landowners that are stuck up there with a non-spec, up to spec.
Bert?
Yeah, I guess I'd be curious if you read the town's response to the letter, because I don't think that response says they agree to what that letter says. It says, you know, I mean, if you read the town's response to it, I don't think they're saying, yeah, we agree to what you're saying there. It says, we appreciate you doing items.
So that was
to
the
agree,
letter-
But we don't take an opinion.
That was the letter from the Realty Trust and John Fischera to the town.
Right. But there's a response to
Yeah.
that there, so I don't think it's as black and white as.
Yeah, it says, we do not take a position on your representations regarding the trust's legal responsibilities, and we do not take a position on your representations regarding the responsibilities of the High Pastures Homeowners Association. So, I
Okay,
don't
and the
believe
other
there
thing-
wasn't.
Just reply to Jay was that the original plan shows the grade of the road in the cul-de-sac, so I would assume if it's built to those original plans, that the grades would work. I mean, they work on the subdivision plan. I'm not sure how they compare to what's there now, but
One of the
That's the
problem
first
areas is the way the power was installed, with the power going to the top of Black Mountain for Verizon. That is right, not that that can't be moved, I guess, but I know there's an issue there, for sure.
My question is, how can all the parties come to an agreement on, like, what would constitute road access up there that allows for those final two properties to be built on? And how could we come up with an estimate that could be bonded? Who determines the cost of what needs to be done to that road to bring it up to those 1985 standards, which are different today, but so be it? And then what would that cost be?
So normally, if it was a new road construction, there would be an estimate based on the construction plan. So the engineer designing it would prepare that bond estimate, and then the town would review the bond estimate, and we compare it to standard prices, and that's how the bond would be established. For an existing road, which kind of is almost the situation here, existing situation, the road standards say you need to do an as-built. We don't know where the grades are. Does the road have to come up 5 feet or go down 2 feet? We don't know yet, so nobody can put their arms around it yet. And does the gravel meet the ground standards? So we meet the standards. If they don't, do we have to dig out the gravel or add more gravel? We don't know that. So usually the first step is you have an as-built done of it that surveys the grade of the road and where the utilities are, so we can make sure we're not digging into utilities or whatever they are, and figuring out which way the culverts are going compared to where they were supposed to go. And then we can, then we can put our arms around exactly what the cost would be, exactly how much work needs to be done.
We meaning you, as
Yeah.
a town engineer.
Exactly right. Usually they have an engineer that proposes something and the town reviews it.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Is that something we want to invest in as a town, though? Based on the current lawsuit or trial?
Yeah, we got live items, is I think what they were described as, and I don't know that we have appropriated money in the
No.
town engineer's budget this year to do that kind of work. I'm not sure what the cost would be, but
I mean, normally it's the developer, so the homeowner association, whoever owns the road, is the one who hires the road engineer to do that work.
okay,
And then the only work for us is to review it once they're done. They'll come forward with a proposal saying, this is what needs to be done to finish the road, and this is how much it's gonna cost, and then I review it to make sure it's
Okay.
reasonable.
So
So
there's
there's not
no
too much
change.
of my time typically.
That's okay.
okay.
And Burr, that'll only take you 5 minutes or so, right? Once you see it.
Yeah.
I'll find out.
Yeah, it seems we come full circle, which I think this is what brought us here to begin with. It sounds like what the town is saying, well, we need, on behalf of the homeowner who wants to do the building, get a permit, we need the association to go do some kind of engineering work, create an as-built, stand in the shoes of the developer, figure it all out, decide whether it's a town spec or not, give it to the engineer, then maybe we'll be told what needs to be done. It's our view, well, we don't sit in that role. We are not the developer. We own the land, but folks have easements over it to use it as the roadway. If somebody else wants to go forward and do that, have at it. But our view is we are under no obligation whatsoever to do any kind of upgrade to the road, spec to the road, et cetera. We're not the ones seeking building permit. And that's our position, and I think a proper one based on where we are today.
Well, the owners of the 2 vacant lots that have not been built on yet, are they part of the HOA yet?
As homeowners, they become members of the HOA.
So are they part of the HOA now without homes
Yes.
being there?
Yes.
So you don't have any obligation to them at this point because they don't have homes there?
That is correct. There's no obligation to individual homeowners to build a particular road or design out or plan a road or construct a road of any kind under the association documents. That is correct.
But do you have an obligation to the development, as the homeowners association?
No, we have an obligation under the documents to maintain the roads that are currently in place. We have no obligation to construct any new roads or to upgrade roads, et cetera. I mean, which is back to where we started, which is everyone seems to put the association as the one that was the developer. Even when the road was changed and upgraded in 2015, it wasn't the association that was doing it. It was the owner of the lots that came to the town and said, this is what I'm doing, please sign off. And there was litigation later about who was paid for that, but ultimately, the owner of the lot, who was the developer at the time, was the one that was obligated to pay.
So who paid for the roads, the current paving that's there, that would have been the first 3 homeowners?
Yeah, the current paving that was there was paid for, I think, prior to the other homes being built.
Oh, right, gotcha.
Earlier
Going backwards, yeah,
phase.
okay.
That's exactly right.
I
Chris?
can just make a super clarification point. So I just want to be clear about what Attorney is saying here, is that John had claimed, you asked a very specific question about who had paid for that stuff before. John had thought the HOA needed to pay for it, HOA thought John had to pay for it. John did pay for it, and then the HOA and John came to an agreement for the HOA to pay John back. So ultimately, it was the HOA that did pay for that road extensions and improvements, hence our now current problem of, do we do it that way, do we do it another way, and that's what's being litigated. But ultimately, the HOA did pay for that stuff part of it through a settlement agreement.
Just a point of order, I would please. Mr. Mogensen is a member of the Homeowners Association. He certainly can speak as a single member of the Homeowners Association, but he has zero authority to speak on behalf of the HOA in this forum. Sounds weird, this way, but I didn't understand that. He's not a board member, he's a single owner. We've got 23 other homeowners and 2 lot owners. So just keep that in mind, please, when we're going to Mr. Mogensen for information regarding this thing. I'll sit down.
It was just given a little history of the.
I know, but that's, yeah, I agree. It's not quite correct.
Okay. I don't know if we have any jurisdiction to do anything right now. I mean, go ahead.
Whether you do or you're not, whether you do or don't have jurisdiction today in this meeting, I think the reality is there's been so much information presented.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a variety of components to it, some certainly very legal, obviously with regard to whether a letter in 2015 worked to sort of amend that 1985 document, which maybe the answer to that legally is yes, maybe is no. I haven't formulated an opinion on that yet. That is certainly an opinion I would like to formulate to provide the board. So I do think that there are a number of things that I would need to review from what I've heard today to at least give some legal thoughts to the board for your consideration before making a decision. Obviously, I can do that as quickly as possible, but I can't, promise anybody in the room that that's going to come by the end of the week or something like that. There's a variety of documents that I would need to review. Obviously, you could sit here and make a decision. Any board is empowered to make a motion and make a vote. I just don't know with the different opinions we have in the room that there's a really obvious, strong consensus. Yeah, each of those parties may think that, but those don't align. If they all align, maybe, well, I guess we'll just do it that way, but I don't think they all fully a line. So I would, I guess, suggest that, that to the extent the board okays it, I could have communications with Attorney Lick, Attorney Meyer, and I don't know if the homeowners are represented by counsel. That way I can get the difference of opinion. And if there's some way to get them on the same page in some form of an agreement that solves an immediate problem without sort of foreclosing the ability for the town to deal with a bigger, more long-standing one, obviously since this goes back to 1985, that would be my goal on behalf of the town, to try and solve the immediate problem, without foreclosing the ability to deal with bigger road issues.
1 second. Thoughts on that?
That seems logical.
Yes.
So I am the homeowner, and I've obviously.
And what's your name?
Zachary D. Sloren.
Hi, Zach.
Hi. So I think that would be helpful, and again, I think the conversation sort of has come full circle, and yet this seems like an actionable item, whether it's the end of this week or next week. It's something rather than just sort of spinning, and does the precedent of 2015 sort of carry forward? Is there something, it just would be helpful, even if it's frustrating or disappointing, to just make progress. We've spent a ton of money, and I do have counsel, trying to figure something out. We've alluded to the meeting, last fall. We actually weren't sort of seeking building permit, nor, we talked about maybe doing some clearing, but someone had brought up the point earlier about sort of being in the middle. I feel like we're the ultimate, or I'm the ultimate in the middle here, where I understand there's a lot going on, some of which I am party to as a result of being part of the HOA. I hear the position or the argument of, hey, 3 of the 5 lots are sort of governed under this 2005, I'll put it in air quotes again, agreement, because the legal stuff really matters here, so why aren't the last 2? That's hard for me to ignore, understanding there's obviously a significant history to this, as well as a very complicated current situation. I'm speaking entirely for myself. I'm optimistic that broader litigation will be solved. But in the meantime, if it's not, I truly feel like I'm just kind of caught in the middle. And there is precedent that 3 other, it's either lots or building permits. If you own 2, you can choose to build a duplex or a single family. So I don't know the exact count, but there's precedent that progress has been made, so it's frustrating to be like, hey, now we're going to draw this line where you're going to be sort of held hostage, my term, not anyone else's, and that's hard understanding. Other homes are serviced by this road, other homes were granted building permits, so that seems reasonable. Obviously, the devil's sort of being in the details there, but happy to. I'm sorry, I missed his name. Jason put you in touch with myself and our counsel, obviously. But I've sort of waited to speak up because this has been helpful. But that's sort of my and our sort of personal position.
All right, thank you, Zach. Thoughts, Frank, about just do a motion to.
I'm just back to what our attorney is saying. And try to get everybody together, maybe in the next 3 weeks or this or that, get all the different viewpoints as to where this is at. But when I asked Burr, how much of bond are we talking about? He said roughly $25,000. Is that?
Well, that was the paving and the gravel. It could be double that. I don't know what the number is.
But it seemed to me that testing should be done. All of that would have to be part of any agreement that we come to, including what our attorney's been talking about. So I think that's the first thing. And the expenses borne out of the people up there, I'm guessing the homeowners association up there, to get that thing going, and then have our engineer look at it and decide, okay, this is good, and let's go forward. We'd love to have a couple more houses and expand our tax base. We're in that business here, okay? So that, I think, we've heard some reasonable ways of getting this done through our attorney, through our engineer, and that's kind of where I'm feeling.
Bob, thoughts?
I'd love to get Jason's opinion on whether this 2015 letter, changes the original agreement. And I think, and I don't want to really just forget that Kevin mentioned earlier, it's like you start developing those last 2 lots and you're gonna make a bad situation a real headache up there as far as erosion and washing out, and those are the facts of the matter. So I wanna be mindful of that also. So, yeah, I think that having Jason move forward to really get to a better level of understanding of this, and maybe we can then go forward with somebody agreeing on what it's going to take to get that road up to a state that is acceptable.
Zach, did you have one more comment?
Well, I guess I was just gonna say, and I don't wanna reopen the conversation, I would just submit, why would the final 2 lots or 4, depending on how you look at it, sort of be held to a different standard than the previous 3?
Okay.
And then lastly, if I may, I think although challenging for town council to sort of look at this specifically or compartmentalize outside of the broader disagreement that exists. Because I think it'd be easy, respectfully, to sort of punt and say, hey, there's something larger, but that's the situation, we've been in for quite a while now. I mean, I purchased these, I think, I want to say January 23. So I think we've owned these for over 3 years now. We haven't been, designing or fully designed and moving forward to the pace we are for that entire time. But I mean, we've been exhaustively patient here, and I appreciate everyone coming together. There's obviously other stuff, so I'll be quiet on the meeting sheet here, but I'd like to make some progress while also sort of really trying to hone in on the specific situation rather than the broader disagreement, as I'm calling it.
All right. I would like to entertain a motion to have our attorney, Jason Dennis, take this further and report back to the town with recommendations, also giving you the authority in the meantime to reach out to the respective parties and their representatives to gather information so you can report back to us.
Second.
No, I entertain a motion.
Oh, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I want to thank everyone
Yeah,
for the history and the discussion in the background. I appreciate the patience. Attorney Meyer, if there is any movement on that, the pending open issues, I'm sure you'll keep Attorney Dennis and everyone else involved in that as well, so we don't make any decisions that are inappropriate.
Of course.
Thanks, Jason.
You're welcome. Any other matters for which
I
the board?
believe we are good to go.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks,
You too.
Jason.
Take them in.
Take one more.
All right. The next agenda item is Black Mountain Ski Area noise complaint. We received the noise complaint. All right, folks, I'm gonna ask if you could, excuse me, sorry. We received a noise complaint on May 4th that there was loud music, hearing it when the windows were closed, and the date of this was April 28th. We received this right after one of our select board meetings, and I believe that we made it clear at that select board meeting that noise complaints, without a doubt, need to be reported to the police at the time. So I appreciate the fact that this was filed and giving attention to it. However, the noise ordinances should, noise complaints should definitely be reported to the police at the time so they can make sure that any problems that are happening are addressed if there are any. Any comments, thoughts on that?
No.
Okay. Black Mountain Ski Area new extended liquor license request. So we have received a request to extend alcohol service at the .16 1600 7-acre space at the summit of Black Mountain with a diagram attached. Be on this list. Okay, so you're asking for an extended alcohol service at the summit of Black Mountain. I have some questions for Eric, I guess. So, Stephen?
Can I speak to that last topic? I'm sorry, you moved on before.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to continue with that. Stephen Leader, I built my house on Doublehead Drive in 1997. I'm about 1,500 feet off of Dundee Road. And I went through a considerable effort to build that house to acquire peace, quiet, privacy. And I still have privacy. I have National Forest as a neighbor, Upper Saco Valley Land Trust as another neighbor. I lost my peace and quiet when Black Mountain changed hands recently. I ran into Frank just over a year ago at the post office and talked about the noise of the music coming from Black Mountain, and he suggested create some kind of document that we can address that with the select board. My wife Tish put together a letter, went to neighbors, had people sign the letter. In total, there was close to 80 signatures on that letter. It was presented here and read. You all remember, everyone knows about this. A few months later, I believe on our behalf, you tried to negotiate in a private meeting with Black Mountain to come up with a solution to that issue. And I stated in a couple of meetings ago, I appreciate that effort, and I need to report that it's not working. Frank asked me early in the season how it was going, and at the beginning of the season, I had to say it seemed like it was improving. But as the season went on, it just got worse. And so I just want to make it clear that this is an ongoing issue that needs to be resolved. And I don't know what the solution is. I don't know if you know what the solution is, but it's not, whatever law is intact right now, it's not working. I'm 1,500 feet off the road. People say to me, "You're hearing noise from Black Mountain?" And I say, well, come up and listen to it. I don't know what the geography is that is why it's so loud at my house. I think it's coming from the cabin up above. And frankly, I held out hope that maybe with new ownership, a new general manager, someone would make an attempt to resolve this problem. I see no change. So I just want to keep this topic open and hope that you can work on a solution. And frankly, I'd like to be part of a discussion if you get to that point in trying to resolve this. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Months ago, before last town meeting, we had a public hearing to see if we needed to make changes to our noise ordinance, and it was decided at that time we really didn't have any modifications to that. So we do have a noise ordinance in place. If you feel, Stephen, that that needs to be adjusted or modified or whatever, absolutely come to us with some suggestions or a petition warrant article where we can modify that. And then again, if the music is beyond what is required, or not required, but the maximum decibels allowed, and I'm going by the ordinance here, but I'm going to tell you something. There's a really, it's tough in Jackson because we've got the valleys and we've got the areas, and if you live across from Eagle Mountain House or past the golf course, you're going to hear their weddings. If you live by Wentworth, you're going to hear their weddings. So it can change based on time of day, weather, wind, everything, and I appreciate.
And I understand the Eagle Mountain issue, and Bob, I believe you've worked on that to tweak it and tame it. Eagle Mountain's has had music. It's part of their required business. Music at Black Mountain is not necessary. Snowmaking at Black Mountain is necessary. They need to make snow. I'm not complaining about the noise of the snowmaking. It's the music. It's not a need at Black Mountain. It's a want. And that want is coming from a commercial operation in a rural residential district. I'm in that rural residential district, and it's taken away my peace and quiet, and I don't believe that's right. That's my fundamental point. And I don't think the noise ordinance can be so general. it's clearly not working. And I've called the police several times. Chief has been there, he's heard it, plenty of people have heard it. This is not a figment of my imagination.
No, I understand that. So as I said, I think that if there are modifications that need to be made to the noise ordinance, we will definitely entertain those as being presented to the select board, whether it be in a public hearing that we can hold or a petition warrant article. And continue to report the incidents so we have documentation from any incident that is in town. Frank, anything?
I think you're onto something there, I just don't know how you're gonna satisfy unless the music is dampened in some way, because it's
That's
just
all,
like what.
that's all it's gonna take, Frank. It's
Okay.
just turn down the volume. It's very simple.
And can you ask Eric, I mean, I don't want to, you're the chair,
No,
right?
what?
Is it
Go
for me to,
ahead. Yes,
you know?
absolutely.
So Eric, I know we come up with the 80 decibels and this and that, and apparently it's not working, and I've heard that from others too. Is there any way that you can mitigate that and turn it into a quiet place that can still have a good time? I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think it's quantitative, Frank, right? Like, we have to, that's why we worked pretty hard to come to an agreement, and I think our decibel level at the property line is actually lower than the noise ordinance. And so our goal was not to be objective, right? Is that tree big, small, medium sized? Well, I don't know. You could ask 10 different people, and some people will tell you it's a really big tree. Some people tell you it's a medium tree. Some people tell you the music's very loud. We've also had a considerable amount of people come back and say, you've done a great job with the music, and turned it down and adjusted the hours. So the only thing we can really do, Frank, is have a decibel meter. And I have one right next to my snowmaking wrench, and I carry it around right next to my radio, and we watch it and we look at it. And if I get a call from Chief Moser, he'll send me a text and we'll look at it and we'll see what it's at. And maybe it's 70 decibels. Maybe that's something that we agree to at some point. Maybe it's 90. I don't know, but I can tell you that 80 really isn't that loud. And you don't realize how loud stuff is until you walk around with a decibel meter all the time. 80 decibels is really not that loud. It's about a lawnmower, sometimes a little bit less. And I also empathize and understand that it is a rural residential area, but I will say also that the ski area has always played music, and it has played music prior to the creation of that rural residential area. It's not a simple problem. It's not as easy as just turning it down. It's very subjective, and that's why we created a process. If we need to revisit it, let's have those conversations. Absolutely.
The only thing I can say, and it sounds to me like you're willing to work with everybody, you have been right along, is that up until now, and again, I was on the board in 88 and 2003, and then again now for the last 6 years, until ownership changed and you brought all this new life and energy to the place, is when we started getting the complaints. We never had them before. So something has changed. And if we can get back to that sweet spot and have a good time up there and put Jackson on the map and skiing and all of what you've done for the industry, for small areas, I think it'd be terrific, and I think everybody would be happy about it. Steve, does that sort of work for you, that idea?
Sure, we keep it to the decibel that John Frashera had. Problem solved. Non-issue.
Yeah.
Never heard it. Never heard the music when John Frashera was there.
Did we?
John basically went out of business and the ski area was going to close. So
We're going to equate the sound
All
of
right,
music.
okay, you know what, I think we all have the same goal in mind, is to have good neighbors and to have peace and quiet, and to follow the rules. And if the rules need to change in order to keep that peace, then we will look at modifying them or working together somehow. I don't want this to be a dying issue. It's not as clean and simple as saying, this is our noise ordinance, stick to it. And let Eric, I appreciate that you walk around with a decibel meter. It can be loud one day and it can be not so loud the next day, depending on, like I said, the weather. So let's continue to have the conversation, and if there are events, then we know that it's going to be probably more lively than other events. Other than that, I think we just need to revisit our noise ordinance and see if there are changes that need to be made or modifications that need to be made. And that's for all all businesses and residences in the town. You know, we can look at all the wedding venues and all the party venues and see if there are any other issues. Mike, Chief?
I would have to refer back to the agreement itself as the wording, but I don't recall whether Black Mountain agreed that if the noise ordinance changes, that they would follow suit with that, or if we were handcuffed by that agreement. So just something future for.
Let's see if changes need to be made, and I'll look at the agreement as well. But I mean, I can't imagine that an agreement would have been signed that went against a town ordinance.
Open air amplification was exactly what we were working to avoid when we addressed this issue with the liquor permit extension requests. And the letter that we still have businesses sign today reflects the work that we did on that. And I think that amplification without tent walls that are down is always going to reverberate across the valley, especially when it's that high up. And I think that that's where we're getting, this isn't amplified music that's playing as people are skiing off the chairlift. And that's the big difference, is that we're dealing with amplification that is in an open air atmosphere. And especially that high up, where the Alpine Cabin is in particular, it just goes across the valley. It's happening above the valley tree level. And that's why I think it's as loud as it is.
I agree. And that source, John, as far as I remember, John really didn't play music up there. John basically played music at the base of the mountain.
Right.
And you couldn't even hear that out the road.
And that's why it was behind a building,
Yeah.
and it was below
Right.
the valley tree level. So, not that I just came up with a solution, but I mean, that's really the difference.
Question though, on the amplification, is it always music that's outside or inside, or is it outside and inside music? Have there been events where the amplified music inside
Yeah, I
has
think
been
Mike
that
and I had a
loud?
conversation on our closing day around that. Our interpretation is so we shut down that music at 10 or whatever the requirement was, we moved it inside. And Mike and I had a conversation that evening around whether the 80 decibel applied to what the definition of amplified music is. I think the agreement very clearly defines what amplified music is and where it exists, and that's something that I think we're chatting through and working through there. But our piece is when we move the music inside, that it is not amplified music outside.
I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. Amplified music is usually inside if it's at Eagle Mountain House or Wentworth or anywhere else. It may be inside a tent, it may be inside their carriage house or whatever, but the decibels are usually for amplified music. It doesn't say indoor or outdoor. Mike, did you have a comment?
I would agree with you on that part as well, and the disagreement that Mr. Morganson is referring to is the indoor amplified music could still be heard from the roadway outside the building as well that night. And that's one thing that I just haven't had a chance to get back to the board and have that discussion with you guys yet, as far as where you stand with that agreement for another day for that discussion.
Well, I mean, we have time of day, so after 10:30, right? Our noise ordinance is 10:30, right? Even though you say 10 in the agreement, 10:30 is the noise ordinance for music, amplified music. Okay.
Yeah, I think I agree with Mike. I think it's probably something we should discuss in more detail and we should talk through.
I mean, to me, you know, just interpretation and being in a rural residential area, our noise ordinance was made at 10:30 for the reason for our town. You know, we've got a lot of businesses in rural residential areas in the village district, et cetera. 10:30 was made as a reasonable time to stop amplified music. So I can't imagine why inside and outside would make a difference, but. Any other thoughts? Frank?
Well, I'm just thinking of Steve up there. You know, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're hearing music, and you're hearing it fairly loud. Is that your?
That's
I mean, that's
time,
and that's
typically, yeah.
Whatever day it might be, and it's something you're just not used to because it hasn't happened before.
That's correct.
That's all new. So
That's right. That's my point. It's new, so it's expansion.
yeah. So
And it's not necessary for the function of the mountain.
Well, I don't know that you or I need to, are the ones that can make that judgment call.
Right.
Because it's their business, but, I think we're gonna have more conversations on this for sure. And I think also that if, like I said, if we need to tweak the noise ordinance, then let's bring some ideas to the table and put forward to the voters at town meeting.
Can I just bring one more thing?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, the noise thing has been something that's been coming up, but I'm hearing that parking has been resolved pretty much. They're getting a good crowd up there.
Oh.
You know, I've got my chief here nodding, maybe not so much as far as the parking is concerned.
We had more parking tickets this year than last year.
You had more.
Okay,
All right.
let's stay on
Sure.
task here. Let's, all right, I'm gonna just.
I think
cut it
efforts have
because-
been made.
No, but I think
Yep.
Mike's correct, like, we talked about this number, you and I did, definitely, right? There are more parking tickets, but it was more people parking in front of fire hydrants and those things. It was not, we did not have the situation that had existed the previous year and those things. So
Okay.
I would agree that, you know, it is significant better.
Okay, anything else on the noise? No more noise. Okay. Back to our extended liquor request for the summit of Black Mountain. A couple questions that I just had initially. Are there restroom facilities at the top of the mountain?
There are restroom facilities at the Alpine Cabin and at the Sugar Shack.
So not at the top where you're requesting this extended liquor license area. Are there facilities at all for hand washing or any kind of serving at the top of the mountain where you're requesting this?
Yeah, we're not requesting to serve food, we're not seeking a service of food.
Just curious if so there's no place to wash hands or any kind of drainage or anything, water?
We have the sanitation, anytime we do like a mobile
Yeah.
kind of champagne toast or those things, wherever there is that, like, you know, if there was a wedding toast or something in that manner, you know, at the top of those. So that's all in line for sure.
Thought questions for the, I have to tell you, I'm not in favor of this, so I just can't imagine why, and I don't need to run your business or say anything like that. I just can't imagine having alcohol served at the top of a ski lift where there are no proper facilities to serve any alcohol or drinks or whatever, and then have people skiing down the mountain after drinking there. But Kevin?
There is no restrooms at the Sugar Shack that I know of.
No, we have permitted them and we
You are getting a septic
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was in the agreement as well, as far as getting
That
them
was
at
the
the
Alpine-
Alpine
That was the
Cabin
Alpine Cabin.
and the Sugar Shack
No,
in
I don't
the
believe-
agreement,
Me.
or in the building permit?
In the building
They get a
permit.
building permit.
So
We
we have
did get
the
a building permit.
agreement
So
and
it's-
the building permit.
There's no restroom.
There was no restrooms in that building permit, but we did like what's called a farm stand food license. So we're only able to operate a very, minute amount of days. In order to operate further, we would have to have the septic. So we did permit the septic, it was approved and Bird left, but so we permitted septics on 2 on-mountain locations with bathrooms. The Sugar Shack and then the Alpine Cabin. The Alpine Cabin was part of the agreement from last year.
Right.
Both of which are dramatically closer to the summit and those things. In particular, too, it's not just a skiing thing. As you know, we have closing on the Whitneys and those things. So last year, a couple years ago, we had a wedding up there. People want to have a champagne toast and do their their thing. And so that's where we were looking at. We could file a temporary one for every single event or wedding or those things, and we wanted to follow the standard practice of what everyone else has done in town and filed a quasi-permanent. But it would follow all the New Hampshire Liquor Department things. Jay's issued our permit of assembly. We've identified exactly what the square footage is and how many people. I don't know what the number was you came up with, Jay, was like 100.
Eric, why are you doing this for events mostly? Just curious, like what your intent is.
Yeah,
I understand, like gathering spaces.
in order for us to put a permanent facility up there, we would have to go through and put in the facilities and a septic system and all of those things. So our intent is not to put a permanent facility up there unless we were to have a permanent, infrastructure to go with it. So it is more of a event special scenario, which we are governed by liquor and by food, all of those things, we have to follow and go through those normal processes.
Frank, questions?
How much bigger is this making the area? No, you missed that part. This drinking area. Is it sort of like, is it akin to a
You should have
social?
the updated map. Did they get the updated
I
map?
can't.
This is the one.
No, that's not the map where I made notes on it and shows the
I
seats.
don't have the permanent assembly. It's on the desk.
Oh, the permanent assembly.
Yeah, that Jay just brought over today. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not, I can draw it if you really want to see it pretty quick.
Yeah.
Melissa?
Hi, I have a question. If there's going to be beverages, alcoholic beverages at the top of the mountain, does that include food?
That's,
So
I
is
asked
it
that-
legal to serve alcohol in the state of New Hampshire without having food?
It is.
I'll think, I will find that out. But I believe it is, but I will have to find that out.
Thank you.
So it's not
There-
the whole.
It's not that whole, that's not that whole outlined area.
That's not the chief. There's a percentage, it used to be.
Chief?
First question is, if it's approved, why and how would it be different than what we require from the Wentworth Blue Mountain House and all that for their events and weddings and that sort of, the tents, the walls, and having a free range of an entire 0.16 acres?
Right.
And then my second question is, I don't know the entire history of Black Mountain back to 1947, whatever it was that it opened. Is weddings pre-existing use of this property? Is it grandfathered? Is it new usage? Or weddings, events, however you want to word it? You said Champagne Coast, I just associate that with weddings and that sort of stuff. So is that what it's being used for?
Yeah, 1936, there is a pretty documented and continual use of weddings and events at the location, and then certainly with our acquisition of Whitney's as well. That's unquestionable. And then it isn't, I wouldn't say it's free range, but we still have to follow all of those liquor pieces. So for example, we need a very delineated line between where you can drink and where you can't, just like all of our other extended permits. This is, we actually get a lot more safety with the regulation, right? It's very valuable for us when we can go and say, look, you can't tailgate in the parking lot, you need to be in this designated area, we have the no alcohol sign, we do those things. We're very specific about no drinking on lifts. It's a 3-minute ride from the Alpine cabin to the summit, almost less. And so it is significantly closer than bathrooms and facilities that have been placed in the past. It has to be very clearly delineated and follow all those rules. If we do decide to serve food, we certainly could have a food truck or a food sled up there. We made something for the front of the snowpad to where we can put it around the mountain, but we could only run that, no more than 4 days in every trailing because it doesn't have, has the food truck type exemption. So there's a lot of things, but this delineation makes it very, very clear cut for us and really helps us with our customers about where to drink and when to drink. And that's why we're asking for a reasonable piece of this.
I'd like to speak to our state rep here because lately, I guess some legislation was passed for it's called social distance, social areas or activities, right? I see Laconia is doing it. It's just starting to do it, and You have to, it's pretty well controlled as far as what you can carry around. It's gotta be a specified kind of cup and all this other stuff. Why wouldn't this be something?
Our village district would possibly qualify as a social district if we were to have that area, but not on private property. Where you're not actually leaving private property to go on public property, am I getting that right?
Yeah, I'm
Chris,
just seeing.
as far as you know, Chris?
There's a lot of issues with that.
Sorry, Eric,
You're right.
hold on. Chris, do you know anything more about the social district?
Well, what is it, what town is doing that?
Laconia?
Laconia, yeah, I don't know
The
how
first
it
one.
worked out, but,
Well, it's just started a couple of
yeah,
weeks
it
ago.
just started, I think it's gonna be, sweet popcorn.
Did you vote for it?
Yes, I did.
My concerns are being asked to permanently extend the alcohol service up there rather than event by event. And I would prefer to see this start out, there's acknowledgement there won't be restroom facilities at the top. We haven't even gotten into whether there's gonna be amplified music up there. I'd like to see it work on a case-by-case basis, certainly in the initial winter, so that we can all learn how exactly it goes up there. So we have entertained liquor license extension requests for as long as I've been on the board. And sometimes we approve for the season, and I think that this would be a great example of one that, when you're talking about special events, they would be scheduled events. And you could come before us and reiterate what you are and aren't going to be doing for food, or are and aren't going to be doing to accommodate restroom needs and the time frame that it's happening. And I mean, if they're going to be serving liquor up there for 4, 5, 6 hours with no restroom facilities, I think we've got a public health issue that is worth talking about. So there's a lot to this, and those aren't the only, I'm not the only one with questions. There are questions that we all have about that. So I'd prefer to see this happen by coming to the board with enough time to say, here's we want to extend a liquor license serving permit up there on December 27th from 4 to 7, and this is why, and this is the special event, and this is how many people are going to be up there, and this is how things are going to be segregated and fenced off, and prefer to start out that way.
Mike, comments?
First, you kind of touched on it, Bob, of the special event kind of idea. The board expecting this is a special event, that would become a special event usage, or is it just their normal business usage? So where does that go with what we're creating for that special event permit? The other is with numerous previous liquor investigations, counselings, current ongoing investigation counselings on the already approved established areas. One to be exactly that of the delineation was just closed and addressed, I believe, with you, Eric, with the council.
Yeah, we were kind of, we had no
Stop.
corrective action.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay, I don't want to do the special events kind of commingling these topics, but I do agree with you, Bob, that I would prefer to see it on an as-needed basis, at least on a trial basis for this extended area. So if you have a wedding or a planned event, then you would come to us for an extended liquor license for that event. Frank, do you have thoughts, comments otherwise?
Well, I guess that's the approach, to be little, slow, as someone said a long time ago, and to see how it works. I think it can, but maybe, taking the whole hog and saying, let's just do it now. I think perhaps we can trial it out and then work to a place that maybe it will become permanent.
someone like to make a motion to not grant the extended liquor license on a blanket basis, but to make it on an as-needed and as requested basis?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, 2026, Emily.
Yep.
Wake up. You would need us to sign off on your updated work on the hazard mitigation plan.
Yeah, it's an annual review process, just sort of looking at specifically the action items and what we've accomplished in the past year. And it's pretty exciting to have 30 action items.
Yes.
We've actually completed 3 and almost 4. The biggest one being the fire station.
Which is amazing.
Which is awesome. Old Town Hall is almost complete, and then also the new radio tower was addressing communication needs. And Smokey the Bear with our well.
That's good. Cool.
So, I didn't know if you had any other questions. Yeah, I reached out to, to the highway department, the water precinct, the building inspector. We've actually added 40 new 911 signs.
Nice.
Yeah, and the planning board, working with them to, I think, sort of across different towns across the of New Hampshire is really looking at how to better incorporate some of the hazard mitigation action plans into the master planning process. And I have to say, I've added Eastfield Road onto my radar, given the recent conversation for future work. So, yeah, things are definitely changing. There's much more intense rainfall, intense storms, so that intensity is changing things. So I didn't know if you all had any other questions regarding questions or.
I don't have any, seem pretty clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
So if you could just
sign
that.
So,
I'll make a motion that we approve the hazard mitigation plan 2025 year 1 annual review.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I can sign this here. Thank you, Emily. This is very appreciated. You have a lot of stuff to go on.
It's a big document.
Yes.
It definitely makes it easier to do the update of the next hazard mitigation plan.
Yeah.
Reviewing it each year, that was.
All right, old fire truck.
Thanks.
Thank you, Emily. This is our oldest fire truck. 35 years old now.
Something like that, 89.
So you have a recommendation. I know you used it recently on the forest fires.
So the 2 recent forest fires, we chose to use it so we wouldn't put the nice new one in the woods. Actually 3, 1, no, 2, something like that. Worked out well. I think Jim is planning on using it to wash the $1 Million Bridge. Amongst the
That
other
had a lock
bridges.
on it this morning. Or last night. No more lock. There we go. Okay.
So I did, fairly recent, maybe a month ago, I did get the company Brindle Lee in Alabama that it's for sale at. They had a buyer that really wanted it, or at least that was the impression that come across. They ended up buying, and they sounded like they were willing to pay pretty good money. They ended up buying them closer because they were in Colorado. So I was at least a little bit positive that it's still got interest for something that's been for sale for a while. So I was happy with that. That's kind of where we're at right now. It's hard to sell as a fire truck because it doesn't have an automatic transmission, basically. As you guys know, nobody's really been willing to, we haven't been willing to just give it away for 25 or 30 grand because of what the highway can use it for and what, other things. So that's kind of where
Did
I'm
you
at right now.
approach the other towns in Maine?
Yes, I called Sears Point, Sears.
The
whatever.
place that just lost all
Yeah,
the
the
fire
place that just
trucks.
lost all the firefighters and 3 fire trucks, and let them know that if they needed to borrow it to get by for a little while, they could. They were extremely grateful. I'm sure they're getting slammed with offers from everybody in the tri-state region. I haven't heard back, so I'm assuming they're okay for now, but we did extend the offer. So that's where we're at.
Okay. I'm sure you have a bottom line in your head, and I don't want to put it on the tape because then you might get something right.
Correct, yeah.
But keep us posted every once in a while on action.
Yep.
And
Yep.
if you do get offers, maybe run it by Bob as your liaison and just
Okay.
so we can make decisions.
Yep.
Sometimes you might have to part with it for a little less than you want, but if we're using it,
Yep,
that's
yeah,
also
we can
good.
get together and talk about that, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, just what are your druthers? Would you prefer to just keep it and have it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely outdone itself for a full-fledged fire truck, but it's one thing about it, it's pretty easy to work on. You know, there's no electronics to it. I definitely wouldn't, you know, if something major happened to it, I wouldn't want to invest all kinds of money into it, but it's a pretty simple truck to work on, and if anybody knows anything about older Macs, they're pretty bulletproof for the most part. So for the highway department use, or for a forestry use, or emergency management type use, it's not worth giving away.
And as I recall, Andy Griegel was the chief at the time, volunteer fire chief.
When we bought it, correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Correct.
Peter D. and I were on the board.
Where is it being stored?
Right now, after the forest fire, when we had the dangerous couple weeks and we went to Hart's location with it, we stuck it in the old highway garage bay for now, which the ambulance, the mass casualty trailer that belongs to the state is in there
Right.
too.
Okay.
That's in there right now. So we've basically, between what Jim has done and what I've done, Gray's Inn is extremely free and a little more clearer, especially for one of the discussions coming up
Yeah.
about school bus parking.
Okay. All right.
Do you need me
Keep
for that?
us
Because I
posted.
gotta go to fire meeting.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
Conflict of interest policy. Bob, do you want to touch on that? And bring John?
The conflict of interest policy, I didn't think I was doing both of these, but I ended up doing both because I did the wrong one first. Which one did I do that I wasn't supposed to? The special events?
No, the conflict of
The
interest.
conflict of interest
But that's
policy.
fine.
But
You did
it's
a great
good.
job.
Which one?
It was
Conflict of interest policy.
just something that we had a couple of templates we worked from, and just basically came up with 11 different elements to a very simple small town conflict of interest policy. And I think this one was pretty straightforward. We wanted something that was going to protect small town interests. A lot of small towns end up with part-time employees or people doing side jobs to make a living wage that are interacting with virtually all and any business in town, and we didn't want it to be such a constriction that somebody was going to be limited as far as what they could do on their personal hours outside of their job hours, and so we wanted to consider that also, and further define recusal and list prohibited conduct, and it's all very straightforward, and really most of these elements, recusal is element number 8. Officials must not participate in matters where they have a conflict and must step away from decision-making. I mean, it's that,
Basic.
the goal was that simple and basic and straightforward with it. And so, I don't know if this, I think I sent this to Julie as a draft to get her thoughts, and I didn't get any suggested edits. And so this is like the next step to put this in front of us as a board to have us kind of digest it and see how we feel about this. What's it missing? Does it have too much? Does it have not enough of something? Or is there anything that concerns you there? And again, this is something that our auditors are telling us
Yes.
that we've got to have.
Right. It's not something we just made up. Our auditors, for internal control purposes, made a lot of suggestions for us, and this was one of the important ones. I love the policy because it's not complicated, overly complicated. It's not long and drawn out. It's, like you said, it's very straightforward. I think there should be no problems that we've encountered in town either by having this policy. It's not something that's going to prohibit any of the actions that we're already doing. So I have no comments or changes on it. One sec, Chris. Frank?
No, I think what you just said about as long as it doesn't change anything, because we have people who have been working for business,
Right.
Jay being one of them, okay? I have sort of a personal one in this, and I would ask if I would be in conflict. I have a VRBO, okay? Let's just, for instance, if somebody from Black Mountain who's coming into town is looking for a place to live for the 3 or 4 months, am I in conflict? Do I have to recuse myself?
No.
All right, well,
No, I mean, that's
because it's just happens.
it's, yeah,
Okay.
that would not be a problem. Chris,
So-
did you have, oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Chris?
Yes, so this clearly relates to the reason why I'm here, which is Dana Place, where our attorney, who I've never met before,
Right.
represents both the town and Dana Place.
He does not represent the town in the case of Dana Place, though.
Well, because back in December, on the 23rd meeting, you said you were gonna hire an outside attorney. Are we gonna do that?
We haven't done that yet,
Well,
but we will.
okay. They, again, they complied with everything. They wrote you a letter on the 25th of March, and they haven't heard back. So they're waiting to hear back, and they've asked me to see if I might push things along.
Okay.
And I've also got a copy of his letter and a copy of the attorney's letter from the group, which I can clearly give to both of you. You can take a look at what's more of the background of what's going on, if that's of interest.
I think we if we don't have those already, then yes, I would love copies of
I
them.
don't think you have. I'll drop them off with Julie. I've got to drop
Okay.
them off for tomorrow, so.
Okay.
All right.
I think that,
I thought we were going to be on the schedule.
yeah, and you know what, it's not on the agenda, so I don't want to get sidetracked on this
Yep.
because of the length of this meeting, but let's put it on the agenda for the next meeting. So Julie, if you could do that. And let's get back to the conflict of interest, and we'll talk about Dana Place at the next meeting.
Okay, and I'll get to,
Barbara,
Yes.
can I just make a couple of comments? This is George Newman, and I want to thank Chris for showing up and presenting our position a little bit. But I'm glad you're actually setting a policy for this conflict of interest, because we feel that there's some issues here that we do want to resolve so we can move forward with our problem, which we are well aware of. But it's good that, and I'm glad to hear that you're going to put it on the next town selectmen meeting, because it's very important for us to move forward or get some closure on this because of the safety implications that we have here. And that's why I wanted to really stress that and we do need to do something about this, because it's of great importance for us to move forward with this.
Okay, I'm going to dial it back to our agenda. Bob?
Well, I just wanted to finish this description of what we put together here as a starter, as a conflict of interest policy that also operates with a conflict of interest disclosure form, where staff would typically annually fill out a disclosure form on who it is they believe they have a conflict of interest or a potential conflict of interest with, and what their decision will be about it, as far as they'll continue to participate in the matter or recuse themselves from discussion or deliberation or voting. And so most of the conflict of interest policies are out there really looking at board members, committee members, within the town, elected officials and appointed officials, but recognizing that there's a staff element to this as well is what we put together. But the individuals on the boards or committees will disclose whether they're going to continue to participate in the matter, because a potential conflict of interest is not an automatic conflict of interest.
Right.
Or whether they're going to recuse themselves.
Right. It's basically transparency.
Yeah.
But it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. Ethically, you need
George,
to do
thanks.
something like this.
I'm gonna ask you to mute, and we'll talk about
No
this.
problem. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Jay?
So I read through the document, and it's a pretty reasonable, I think it's pretty reasonable coming from someone who's probably worked for every selectman in town, or at one point or another, every business in town, amongst an extreme amount of residents. So it's pretty reasonable. As Bob knows, you know, on my side of it, because it, like I said, it affects me a lot because of the amount of work I do in town. And Bob will tell you, I've recused myself on a couple of recent occasions of any kind of, you know, as a fire chief. And even back in 2015, when the driveway permit was being done at Black Mountain East, I stepped away from that. Pat handled it as a fire officer. So, but I think it's a fairly reasonable document.
All right. I'm good. Julie?
I just want to make it up, this will go in the personnel policy. It's not.
It's part of the
It's not
personnel
a policy for database.
Oh, right, it's
Yeah,
not a
it's
conflict
not
of
a-
interest policy specific to
No.
one issue.
Right.
It's for across the board, and it will be put into place in our personnel policy
Correct.
moving forward. I'm going to make a motion then, since you've drafted this, if you're okay with that, I'll make a motion to adopt the conflict of interest policy as written and the conflict of interest disclosure form.
I'm still just wondering about one part of this. Overall, I think it's fine, you know. But at what point does this person have to fill this out? I mean, if you think yourself that you have a conflict, then you would, I think, well, I gotta make sure, I'm gonna double check on this, see what the other selectmen think, that kind of thing, and fill this out. Is that
It actually,
basically?
I don't think it needs to necessarily go to the select board as much as it would go through the liaison, and Julie would be a great resource, being our, sort of our HR contact.
so
If it is
Right.
something that the select board needs to consult on, then we would do that.
And when we update the personnel policy, which we're supposed to do this year,
Mhm.
this will go in it, and then everyone will sign off on the annual
Right.
disclosure.
Yeah.
So whoever receives a copy of the new updated policy, they should receive this and have them sign off, they'll go in their personnel.
So if someone doesn't think they have a conflict, and it's decided that, well, it is a conflict, then what happens?
I think we have a discussion about that.
Yeah, it would be a
Yeah.
discussion.
But like, throw the idea at us, like your short-term rental situation. Yeah, no, that's not a conflict.
Right.
If, you think it's something and it's not, we'll talk
Or
about it, and
anything
throw a
for-
situation.
Right.
And we can also talk to council, we have New Hampshire Municipal that can
Okay.
make decisions, and our auditors.
Yeah.
Would you like to second?
Oh, yeah, I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you for doing that, Bob.
Sure.
All right, report of cut. We have a tax map R16 lots 18A and 18B. Stephen Weeder and Tish Hanlon for timber tax bill in the amount of $978.49. I need a motion to issue this timber tax bill.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next is, sign here, please. The next is a motion to approve and accept $700 for the lots 748 F, G, H, I, J, K, and L in the Jackson Village Cemetery. And I need a motion to approve this.
I'll make a motion to approve the cemetery lots, 748, the 7 lots named F through L.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. What? Now it's getting thinned out here. Thank you. All right, we have a donation of $200 that we have received for the Police Department Private Donation Trust Fund. And these funds are provided in appreciation for the police department keeping an eye on this resident's home while they were away last month. This is to thank them. So I need a motion to accept $200 for the police department private donation trust fund.
I'll make a motion to accept $200 for the police department.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah. Second line,
Don't
please.
spend it all in one place, chief.
Save it out. Every day.
All right, it's in the bottom. All right, so for the Housing Commission, we have a couple of changes in regular members and alternates. And I've been the representative on the Housing Commission since the beginning. So Scott Badger is stepping down as a regular member and becoming an alternate. And Nick Aceto has expressed interest to become a permanent member. And so they'll be flipping spots. I do want to say thank you to Scott for getting this Housing Commission off the ground. We have 5+ acres that were donated to be used for community housing that are going into a land trust, and our intent is to build 5 small homes on those on that lot. And so we're moving forward with it. We've done a lot of amazing work over the past 2 years, and Scott was a key to that. So I want to thank him for his service on that. So motion. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve Nick Aceto as a regular member of the Housing Commission and to accept Scott Badger moving down from a regular member to an alternate.
I'll be glad to second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And also, we are going to be meeting next time on the terms of the members, so they're staggered, because right now they kind of all expire at weird terms.
Okay.
Just sign those letters.
Oh, I'm
The
sorry,
oaths.
I missed
They
it
have
in the
to-
back. You mean by the yellow tags that you put on, Julie?
Make sure all the yellow tags are signed.
Be chasing him down the parking lot. Thank you.
It's a bad day to forget my water bottle.
You want some water?
Nah.
Great. Okay, current use application. One more there. This is a current use application for R11 Lot 14, and this is to put 24.98 acres into current use at 164 Iron Mountain Road in Jackson. 0.52 acres will not be in current use because those are the driveway and a cabin.
Okay.
Motion.
Is that a lot 13 or 14?
It is lot, map R11 Lot 14.
Lot 14.
Typo on the agenda.
Okay, all right.
Oh,
So it's
Yeah,
after.
whatever the application says, that's correct.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the application for current use assessment for our map R11 Lot 14.
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This is print sign, I did it backwards. All right, Jackson Grammar School bus parking location. I don't even know, like, do we just need to make a motion to allow them to put the 2 school buses into Gray's Inn Garage?
They were gonna take a look at that.
Yeah, I haven't
And
heard
did they?
back. I haven't heard back
They were gonna
from
meet with
Cole.
Jimmy between meetings.
Jim is not here anymore. Why don't we touch base with him and
All right.
next meeting?
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Motion to
I'll make a
table.
motion to table the Jackson Grammar School
With-
Yeah.
bus parking location.
Okay, I will second that. All in favor?
Right.
Aye. Betsy or Julie, do you want to reach out to Nicole and or James and see if they want to come to the next meeting and finalize that? Okay. Here, okay, the next is town hall moving updates. Anything, Stephen?
The wheelchair platform that goes from the main level to the stage has been installed. The sprinkler system is underway. Gary Spears put in the brick walkway, which is obvious for anybody driving by. The remainder of the loam will probably go down next week and get seeded soon, hopefully getting spring growth going. So we're getting there.
It looks really nice.
Right on budget?
Sure. Every time I send a bill, I get a check, so far.
That's on budget.
Did you have a comment?
I just want to say, and I know you deal with this with building projects or whatever, and it's ongoing and there's lots of work, but people driving by don't see the results of the work that's ongoing and important. But with that building painted and the landscaping going on, it's absolutely beautiful. And I having a conversation with my wife as we drove by it over the weekend, and she said, and it looks like it's always been there.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful project, and I couldn't be happier that the town supported it in the small way that we did.
Thank
Here, here.
Well said, yeah, thank you. All right, gazebo, Frank, tell me some history on this. So there was somebody that donated this.
Well, the Conservation Commission was involved with a fellow named David Morgan, who was a longtime resident of Jackson. He died, unfortunately, very tragically, but how it may, we got the thing set up, and people liked it, and there's been weddings, there've been little events or whatever, but now it's falling apart. And I don't know, Steve, if you looked at it, I've looked at it, I don't think it's gonna be, good money after bad money kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? I just don't think that it's worth trying to recover, but I do believe, because I've heard people say, it'd be awfully nice to have a gazebo.
Right.
A gazebo, okay? We don't have money for that right now. And Betsy is looking into pricing and costs for new. So can we just sort of defer that a little bit? I think we'd like to do it, but again, is that something to be spending money on these times, and what do we have to worry about? We'll have to find out though.
Well, here's one thing, we do have this person that wants to buy it, the current one.
No kidding.
They got married there,
Yeah.
and they want to buy it, but I feel like, should we
And
put
they'll
it
pay
out?
to remove it.
Yeah, they'll pay to take it and remove it and everything. I
Would he
don't know.
like a fire engine too?
Yeah, right.
There is a-
Comes free with a fire station, a fire truck.
There is one little plaque on there.
Yep.
It has Bob
Bob
Luntz.
Luntz.
He
So
was
we could
former
remove
town
that.
clerk, tax collector. We have to get that off there.
But do we need to
How
put
much?
that out to bid? Do we need to ask him what he wants to contribute? And we could set aside those funds for future
Yeah,
gazebo.
we could
Well,
have to put something out there, like, and allow other people to make a bid on it.
Yeah. But we already know we have someone who's really interested in buying it.
He wants to be notified if the town does decide to get rid of it, if they want to get rid of it. So there was a question of whether we buy a new one or we fix the old one, and also removing it because it's kind of a hazard.
Dangerous.
It's
Yeah.
very dangerous, so I should-
Right. Well,
So I would love to entertain a motion to post this and request bids and informing this person that wants to buy it to bid. I don't know what it would be worth or whatever anybody wants to, I have no idea. I know what new ones were costing, Betsy, somewhere between 10 and 20,000, depends on how glitzy we get with the gazebo. But we could put that in for next year
yeah, would have to.
with town meeting if we
Right.
want to.
So we'll have somebody do the
Or-
dirty work.
Or do a fundraiser. Or
Get
do-
all this stuff out of
Yeah,
here.
or do
Yeah.
some kind of fundraising.
And we could post that
Yeah.
and seek bids in pretty short order,
Sure.
Yeah.
so
Betsy?
I think.
I do have a question in terms of going back to like vendors that I have. Are the requirements that you would like to have the estimates for exactly what you have there? Or are you,
I mean, like, the prices you were getting for what it was
well,
brand new
I know
was.
cedar shakes were pretty
Yeah.
important, so I'm assuming you'd like.
I think
Yeah, what do you want? Like, what do you want?
I think we need to get comparable quotes, comparable to what we have, and downscaling it to composite and things
Okay.
like that, because then it gives an opportunity
A
to,
range.
Like cedars through the roof, right?
yeah,
So,
Okay.
I'm not married to that.
no,
Okay. All right,
Is
so
that
I wanted to
cedar?
know. That means
No,
question.
I'm not either.
no. But I
Like
think
said,
getting
like,
that quote
first
to
I heard
see how much it costs,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
then
it
saying,
definitely
holy
doesn't
cow.
hurt to get, okay,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to know.
You like a standing seam type
And
metal
Devin, you
roof
do,
or something
Devin,
like
when you
that.
do weddings, you can collect little coins in a thing for the future gazebo pictures.
But anyways, people do like it.
They
and
do.
It's, and I think it fits in the area. We just
Yeah.
locate it and, get
All
it.
right, so could I hear a motion to put the current gazebo out to bid?
Oh, I'll make that motion, put the current gazebo out to bid.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then Betsy, you'll move on and.
Is that
we'll-
typically a 1 week bidding?
I would do it for 1 week.
Yeah.
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 Okay, thank you, thank you.
And is it gonna also say that the person who buys it has to remove
You
it?
must remove it.
Yes, oh yeah,
Yeah.
be specific, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, special events ordinance. Bob, do you want to touch on this? And then, I know Debbie sent an email too, so she.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, this special events ordinance, I think we found one from Holderness. There were about 3 or 4 of them that came through. I mean, special events permits are part of many towns for a reason, and so in order to recognize the importance of having special permits and at the same time having protections in place from a public safety standpoint primarily, are also important. And so I put together, based on the template work that Chief Mosier had done, and the Holderness special events permit, and there was one from, I don't know, Pembroke, a larger town, and we looked at the Bartlett special events permit and the Conway special events permit, and just tried to come up with
Jacksonize it.
one that makes, Jacksonize it for lack of a better, and it was again pretty simple and straightforward. There, 16 or 15 one-sentence constructs within the special events permits, and $25 is the application fee, and a lot of protections and things like that, as well as a nice, simple, straightforward application where somebody who is going to be having a special permit explains what they are going to want it for, and what kind of connections they're going to have as far as the highway department or fire or police or parking, that kind of thing, and then a special event permit that we would approve as a select board.
Is this something that you want to take to the special events committee that was formed and get some public feedback? I know we had a public hearing on this a year or so ago and got a lot of great feedback, because it was our jumping off point.
Yeah.
So it was really more complicated than
Yeah.
it needed to be by far.
I think one of the things that I was hoping to remedy was that I don't believe the Special Events Committee really got enough clear oversight from this board. And I wanted to produce something that was going to give them the oversight that we were kind of hoping to build from.
Mm-hmm.
And then have all the other minds in that board, hopefully, come to a place where they could, have conversations about this. They're all invested in the special events, topic of discussion now. So I think it would be good to hear from them whether we invited everybody from the special events committee to participate in a discussion with the full board. Obviously, that's a public meeting.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a separate public meeting or it's a big part of an upcoming regular meeting, I haven't thought that far ahead, but I do want the input of the committee, understanding that, we formed that committee because we wanted some input around a special events permit, ordinance, application, and get their thoughts about it. And I just don't think we gave them enough of some draft language as a starter.
So, Debony is here and has volunteered to chair the subcommittee and also to get that understanding of what the select board wants to see. And I'm wondering if we want to take her up on that opportunity to review this, perhaps gather with the subcommittee, like you said, either in a full meeting or as a subcommittee and then present to us. We have a lot of different ways we could do this, I guess.
Well, I would ask Debony,
Mm-hmm.
what are your thoughts around steps forward on this topic?
I think having another opportunity is a great place to start. I'd like to start by just seeing if we can establish a date for a meeting and having a document with a jumping off point. I think it at least gives us something to start with, and to be able to have some conversation with selectmen amongst each other. I think that there are some other people who might have some important input, like Greg Marcello from the Whitney Center. Spoke with him briefly, and I know he's very interested in at least being able to have his voice be heard about his concerns about it, and which maybe concerns or not with this new document. So I think I would be happy to chair the board and be in charge of trying to, circle our wagons on a time that everyone can meet. I do think that it's important that at that first meeting that we're all present so that we have an opportunity to get off together. And then also knowing what we're charged with, what our end game is, and if I'm understanding correctly, it is starting by looking at this document that you would present to us, have some conversation surrounding that document, and then having our committee, perhaps with the representative or from the select board, some recommendations about what we as a committee might think.
Yeah, and I think specifically, do you think the full select board should be part of that meeting, or just one person acting as a liaison, or what are your thoughts around select board member involvement in this?
I think that's up to you guys, because it sounds like you're allowing us to weigh in on that. I think one member would be sufficient, certainly, as we have conversation and collect information.
Yeah.
And then we can come back to the full board. I think we talked about September as a deadline for that. And we also had some conversation about who might be secretary.
Gee.
I'm not sure if somebody over here was willing to do that, but if not, we'll come up with somebody from our board.
One of the really valuable things to do is a Zoom meeting with a transcription on it, which you can basically do your notes through AI on, and I think that makes the task a lot easier. So we could definitely get the access for someone on the board to do that. and get the minutes out. Betsy can definitely coordinate times with the committee to make sure that the meeting area is open here and that everyone is, and that it's noticed in the paper and where it needs to be. But,
well, it doesn't have to be noticed in the paper.
I'm sorry,
It just has to be
in
noticed
the news.
on the bulletin board and on the town website.
And how
Two
many
public,
days?
24 hours in advance,
Okay,
but 2 public places to be posted.
okay.
Because they'll be open, your meetings will be open to the public.
And I think that you sent something in the email at first when the committee was formed with some of the outlines of
Yeah.
responsibilities.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I think that's,
No, I think this idea of getting the stakeholders involved after this committee to get in front and find out, well, I don't think this is gonna work, looks pretty good, or maybe we should change this. The people who will be involved, who will be applying for this, should be there
Yeah,
at the table.
yes.
So, I'm curious, because we do have 2 other committee members in the room, how the other committee members feel about what Debbie had to share.
Mike first?
I think this is a great direction for a next step moving forward. I think Debbie's great to take that role for that, to take that initiative on. I appreciate all the work that you've done, Bob, to put a draft before us to get us started off and running with. I also want to credit Julie with some of the previous work from the flash draft as well on it with me. And I think just reviewing what you've put forward, giving recommendations on how we perceive that draft, I think, and then coming back and vote, I think that's a good game plan.
Okay.
Eric?
Yeah, I mean, I think Deb would be great to take the lead on it. You know, I think, the moose in the room that we have to talk about is, I think, a lot of the planning board that was assembled, right, or the special events committee board that was assembled, felt that there wasn't a need to have a special events permit. So I think if that's a discussion that you're still willing to have with the board on the recommendations, right, it's not just whether or not, and I think we've heard that a lot in the initial meeting. And that's just something Bob, I'd like your opinion on, is that a discussion that the special events committee can have? I mean, I know we, from what I understand, we have at least one select board member that doesn't necessarily feel that we need a special events committee. And so I want to make sure we don't put the cart before the horse, and that's a conversation we're having with stakeholders.
I think we do need a permit, and I think we've been talking about this for a couple of years now. Deb?
I think we should save that discussion for our meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my
I mean,
clarification, is can we have that discussion?
Well, you can, but I mean, one of the tasks that was put out there when we formed the committee was to come back with a special events permit and ordinance. So we felt that there was a need for this process and permit. So, Mike?
I was just going to confirm that, as it was my understanding that the board said, yes, we are going to have a special event permit and application ordinance, but what it entailed was the board to discuss and come up with recommendations. It's still ultimately the board's decision on what they do for a permit, and but that was my full understanding, was the board was saying, yes, we are going to have one moving forward. Just help us work on what it entails.
So, but if we had a meeting and all the stakeholders are there, the business people, those would be involved in this, and they came to the conclusion that maybe we don't need this. Can that happen?
Well,
can they vote within the meeting and say, this is not necessary? Someone might say.
In my view, the special events committee can talk about anything they want, and we're not going to be setting the agenda.
Right.
Whatever comes out of the special events committee will come to the select board as a recommendation. And then the full select board will then vote on the recommendation being made or not made, and move forward at that point.
Yes?
And with whatever we decide on, events permit or no events permit, whatever it is, does that then go to a vote, or as far as a vote in March at the town meeting to to be voted as an ordinance that would be recommended or not by the selectmen? Or is that something that you'll take our committee findings under your,
Under
you know,
advisement.
consideration, yes?
Yeah.
And then you make a choice amongst yourselves?
Yeah, I think that a zoning board ordinance goes before the town. A town ordinance is a different matter, and so at that point, you know, we'll decide on you know, what to do. I mean, if there's logic around this or something similar not being needed or wanted by people on the special events committee, I'm imagining I will expect to hear logic that can sway me.
Yeah. Yeah. Understood.
And I think we got a lot of really good input from that first public hearing, because it came across so shocking that we were trying to be prohibitive, and this is not what the intent is at all. It's an organizational type of ordinance and permit, so.
Can we also get a fresh start with that documentation prior to our meeting, which was the original document that was presented, as well as this new document, and then I'm guessing any comments from that meeting would be in the recordings or the minutes from previous meetings?
You can even go on to Jackson Flicks or his
Okay.
YouTube channel and watch that public hearing, because that, to get all the emotion and comments into the minutes might not do it justice as far as like watching the video on it.
Okay,
So,
great. Thank you. Thank you.
all right, what about a select board liaison to be on this special events and attend the meetings, or just be the contact? What do you think? I know. All right, Frank, you're it.
I only ask one thing.
Yeah.
Meetings during the day.
Okay.
All right? 10 o'clock, something like that.
Okay.
I think that seems to work for most people.
Okay.
Is that okay? All right?
Yeah.
Good.
Sounds like
And maybe,
So I-
maybe just a suggestion, maybe Devaney, you can reach out to the subcommittee and give them a few, a few options for meetings, like just.
And I think, like you said, all the members have to be at
I
least
think
for
they
the
should all be
jumping off
there.
point.
Yeah.
You guys can decide whether Zoom works for you or not, and we can arrange that too.
Right.
All right.
24 hours and 2 public postings.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so
Yeah.
we will move forward with tasking the special events subcommittee to review the original special events ordinance and all documentation through the new one that Bob has put together and presenting back to us. And Frank will be the select board delegate
Thank you,
there.
Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank
Oh,
you.
sure.
How was your vacation?
I know.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
thank you,
One
Debbie.
Thank you.
See ya.
Oh, Devaney, is that
Debbie?
Well, I have been so bummed out.
Thank you.
Okay,
That was something I could.
a meeting or two ago, we had a intent to cut, and we required a bond because they had not paid their taxes, and they paid the bond, and so now we're making a motion to accept the timber intent to cut.
I'll make a motion to accept the timber intent to cut for map R13, lot 19.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we already signed it because we said they could move forward on that one.
Yeah.
All right, because of the time, I'm going to say that we table the sealed minutes review till the next meeting. And I'm going to actually ask when Frank gets back, Bob, do you have any thoughts on how the town can help celebrate the 250th anniversary or birthday of our country, whatever? The reason I'm asking is because Jen Anzaldi and Kathleen Flamia from the chamber wanted to do some things and like offer flags or buntings to some of the loop homeowners and businesses and see if the town can help cover some of the costs of those. do you have any thoughts on any other celebrations that the town could do? And so Jen got some prices from Amazon that we could offer at a discounted price to businesses and stuff, but throwing it out there.
Are we talking about, so when would the celebration be?
All of July.
Okay, so this isn't something we would put in next year's budget, so is it a small enough amount that we have in mind that we have money available in this year's budget?
That's what, I'm
It's
throwing
not
it out
budget.
there. I'm throwing it out there without a good number yet. I guess I want you guys, 250th birthday.
Oh.
I want you guys to think about it and I'll have better numbers for the next meeting. How's that? So just put it in our thinking caps and I'll see if we have money in the budget to help the chamber
Yeah.
and to promote the celebration that they want to do in town.
Yeah. And I just, make sure, both Jen and Kathleen know, it's like, we have nothing budgeted for this, so
Right.
it can't be a lot.
They already know that. And then the other thing is Greg Marcello, I'm meeting with tomorrow because I know he has something planned to, through the Whitney Center. So
Great.
we'll work with him and I just basically want to know if you guys have any other ideas for celebration. All right, short-term rentals, we have a new one at 82B Wentworth Hall, map V02 lot 10-24B, and that is okay to approve.
I'll make a motion, we approve the 82B Wentworth Hall Avenue, map B2, lot 10-24B, application for short-term rental.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the second one is at 16 Pine Brook Road, map R12, lot 160. And
Let's
that
make-
is okay to approve.
Let's make this one easy, so moved.
So moved, you got it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we have some building permits. Kevin, anything there?
No, that's all straightforward. But I'd like to mention too that we're still waiting for a site disturbance plan from Black Mountain.
I did talk to Burr about it today, at length, and we've engaged an engineer, and we're going through that, and certainly we'll file that before we get into any major work. So yeah, Burr and I have been in contact on it.
Okay, just keep Kevin in the loop, even if it's just an email to say I'm talking to Burr, so
I will.
we're good?
Just
All right.
emailing people in circles.
Yeah,
I'll
I
make
know,
sure- I'll
I
make sure
know.
you're in the loop.
One more email.
Yeah.
Okay, any public comment? Chris?
While we're still here, I just want to mention Chief Mosier made a comment about another report that went to New Hampshire Liquor Commission. Chief Purley did make another report to Liquor Commission. I want to read the response of the Liquor Commission. This is Ben Williams, the lieutenant. His response was, I think the establishment, meaning Black Mountain, did the right thing by taking the outside beer and calling the police. We are going to leave this as is. So that's our understanding of that, the conclusion of that new report.
Would you forward that to us?
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you.
I think you were Chief of CC. I'll send it again.
Okay. Any other public comments? Awesome. Tomorrow at the Bartlett Town Hall, we have a transfer station meeting at 5 o'clock and an ambulance meeting at 6 o'clock. Bring pizza. The next select board meeting is Tuesday, June 9th at 3:30 and Tuesday, June 23rd at 3:30 as well. Those are both here. And please don't forget to come to the fire station grand opening on June 6th from 10 to noon. It is a spectacular building. Motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.
I sent you some stuff last.
Just, yeah. Just another one. And then we got another one on Wednesday.
Yes, you're all set.
Okay.
My mother is.
I think you should just send it to me.
She's just coming to town. It's really good. I got a phone call just for her now.
No, so every time
I just thought I didn't know what I was going to
Okay, yeah, if you have any problems.
Keep me in my prayers, man.
Yeah.
Wonderful job. And I know Bob did a great job.
Yes.
He and I had one meeting, and he did a great job. I know you're gonna be good.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Now, the reference you made to I was a selectman back then, what year was that? No, seriously.